Hello, Seattle.
Hello.
Hello. Hello, world.
Hello, Cleveland! Hello, Cleveland!
Well, hello.
Wholly independent and completely untethered since 2009, this is the Marty Riemer Show podcast.
Riemer.
From the epicenter, Seattle, USA.
West Side.
From their west side basement, lodged between the mold and the bad memories.
Quiet, numbskulls. I'm broadcasting.
Here are your hosts, Marty Riemer and somebody else.
Oh, it feels good to be back in the driver's seat. Longest hiatus we ever took on the podcast the last 2 weeks. Felt like years to be separated from you, the beloved audience. It feeds my soul, people, to be here in the basement. This is the only place where I'm happy, and so we're quitting the podcast sometime soon. Please welcome our regular co-host and a man who has, I believe since last he appeared on this program, has shed his unruly ponytail.
True, I cleaned up for you, Marty.
That's very nice.
Thought I'd keep the job a little longer.
We have quite a program for you today, our big comeback show, and I am so excited to have our guest on the program here. But first, some just business. Take care of a little business here first. This is episode number 454 of the podcast that will never die, but it will die sometime before the end of the year. It is October 17th, 2014. So much has happened in the 2 weeks since the podcast went on hiatus. Ebola is on the march. Just this morning, a report in the New York Times that one of the healthcare workers who might have had contact with the Ebola specimens in Dallas is now on a cruise ship in the Caribbean.
That makes sense to me, doesn't
Can I just tell you, a cruise ship is the only place where Ebola virus itself says, whoa, get me off this. I'm going to catch something here.
Exactly. Floating petri dish, man.
Ebola is afraid of being on the ship.
Yeah. Well, and the flight that the other one took to Cleveland, that probably had already had diseases floating around the cabin as well. Any flight to Cleveland.
Because she called the CDC and said, I have a bit of a fever. I was exposed to the Ebola virus. Is it okay? And they're like, go ahead. You have any idea what a mess those planes are?
Yeah.
So, good news is the traveler in question and their partner have agreed to voluntarily quarantine themselves in their cruise ship cabin. Can you think of a worse vacation? To possibly have Ebola and to have to sit in a cruise ship cabin for the duration of the sail. The whole idea behind a cruise ship cabin is to give you every excuse to get the hell out of the cruise ship cabin. You just were cruising with your parents.
I was, and being stuck in a cabin's a bad idea. I mean, they also have to find a way to slide the tray under the door. They got to somehow, the cabin is not going to be sealed up. You know what I mean? That person, they don't follow rules.
Who doesn't follow rules?
None of the staff who have been in contact with Ebola patients are following any rules. So if you think she's going to stay put, that's absurd. She's probably going to get out and go on one of the daily excursions on a bicycle and sneeze on people. It's not going to go well.
All right.
Let's cut to the chase, Mark.
The Washington Post, no, we're not cutting to any chase yet. The Washington Post today posted a graphic of 310 million tiny black dots, 3 of which were red, just to give you a perspective on the Ebola outbreak in America. Ebola. In America. Wait, hold on. Fart machine? I don't think I have.
Come on.
Oh, wait, I do. Ebola ravaging America.
Is it the last part? That sounded breaking news-ish.
Yeah.
No.
I think it's something a little more hard-hitting. But it is interesting that the Washington Post has so much real estate available on its news pages that let's just put 310 million dots on there. Yeah. That's good enough.
Yeah, but for us,
that'll fascinate our readers.
Visual learners like myself, though, that's very helpful. That kind of thing is helpful.
It was kind of an overpowering message as I scrolled down the dots. I tried to find the red ones. I could not find the red ones. And then I saw cruise ships sailing through the dots, and I went, they're the red dots. Totally red. The woman on the cruise ship, I should point out, for those that are on the cruise ship listening to this program, and why wouldn't you? She does not have Ebola. She was just potentially exposed to a specimen of the virus. So calm down, continue
enjoying your
eating.
Vacation with an potential Ebola person. Enjoy.
Also, since last time we were together, the stock market has collapsed. I think it's because the unemployment rate is down. And whenever I can never figure that out. Whenever they go, good news, the unemployment rate is at its lowest level in 8 years. And then it's like, boom, crash. It's because business loves it when we are all wandering the streets aimlessly looking for, some little pittance from them. And then they're like, boy, we can get some cheap labor.
That, and then some of us who, when we're unemployed, the only thing that makes us happy is to go shopping. And that kicks the economy back into gear. Psychological, Marty.
Yeah, but it would also help if you had some money, too.
Credit cards. You just keep maxing
Keep
them out.
charging
That's
up.
not a problem. Yep.
And this is what I think Michael was referring to when he said, let's cut to the chase. The unemployment rate here in the Moldy Basement has dropped nearly 50% in the last 2 weeks. I'm happy to watch. The stock market's just, boom! Okay, now.
Oh, my God.
Market
What do you
can't
mean
handle
by
that.
Marty? That's veiled. I don't understand.
Nearly 50%. There's you, there's me. You're chronically unemployed. But me, I am a prime specimen for the job market.
Yes.
And I have proven that by turning down a job, and then finally going, okay, I'll work already.
Okay, so what are you going to do?
It's so sad when people come up to me and they go, congratulations, Marty, you found a job.
Oh.
And I'm like, it hasn't been that sad. I mean, I'm not just like...
No, I know. Everyone thought you were pining for radio.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm back. Starting January 5th, 2015, I will be on the air with my old partner, Jody. Michael, step aside.
God, I'm just hearing this. That's harsh.
Yeah.
That's very exciting. What's the station, Marty?
It
Can you give
is
us the call letter?
95.7 The Jet.
Didn't you work for them in 1975?
I did. I worked with for them the AM counterpart. I was on an AM station at a time when no one was listening to AM radio, and for music.
Yes,
music. It was a hit station.
Yes,
and so I come home to roost. Yes, January 5th. So until then, and the reason I had to wait until January 5th is because it's going to take me just a little while to acclimate to this getting up, going to work, answering to the man, that kind of thing.
Yes.
I'm terrified.
Morning shift, Marty?
Yes, morning shift. Jody and I will be doing the morning shift. She's already on right now.
Yeah, I know.
I'm competing with her. Her numbers are in the shitter, if I may say, because we're on.
What time will you have to get your ass to work when this all starts?
On the air at 6.
Ouch.
In studio at 5:59, something like that.
And you have been talking a little bit about radio's death and demise. Are you going to revive the industry?
Do you have proof of that? Do you have any evidence whatsoever
Aaron,
that I've ever suggested that radio is not meant for the future?
Dead in 5 years, I think, which is 4 years ago, you said. Are you personally going to revive it? Because that would be awesome, Marty.
Speed its demise.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm excited. I'm excited to hear your pipes.
I am one of these guys who always makes predictions, about the stock market. The stock market can't continue. This housing market is ridiculous. It's going to collapse. That was me in 2007, December of 2007, while I was going, but I probably should buy up a bunch of real estate because everyone else is.
Yeah.
I always get to the party late because my predictions hold me back. And then as soon as I'm at the party, the predictions come true and everything collapses and I'm like, I'm in the same stink as the rest of you.
Well,
people.
we sort of need you to push the thing over. You're the iceberg, basically. I'm excited for you, man. For me, I always knew you were going back into the radio. There's no question about it because you're one of these people who keep saying, I hate my ex-wife, and really it's just a huge love for it. You can't mask it anymore.
She's got.
No, I do.
That was your ex-wife that had
ex-wife.
the big fake
She
boobs.
does. You don't have an ex-wife.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for you because I think you always wanted this job. And you have a job. Congratulations.
I have a job. Job.
That's awesome.
All my medical ailments, finally, I can get them looked at. Jeez. That $3,000 deductible is just it's such an impediment to me really doing what I like to do, which is having people poke and prod me and say, I don't think that's anything. Please now welcome our very special guest who has graced us with his presence.
Yes.
He is... stories about him have been featured in the Washington Post and Forbes. he on Como TV, the hell, Como TV people. He is, for lack of a better definition, an ethical hacker. He exposes vulnerabilities in huge data structures and vaults where our private information is stored. And he, instead of exploiting that, he goes back to the companies that have the problems and say, here, look what I was able to gather from your highly secure systems.
He's like the Mother Teresa of the internet.
Yes.
Yes.
That's what he is.
I think he'll use that on all his future.
His name is Bryan Seely. Bryan Seely is here on the... I'm sorry we don't have a full house here, because when I applaud, it seems feeble. I need more of this.
Nice.
They quit too soon, though.
Yeah, you'll have a better one when you're in radio, Marty.
I hope so.
You have a job coming.
I have a real fart machine coming. Bryan, so nice to have you here. Holy crap, we could talk to you for hours, but I've got to get used to... We got 3 minutes. 3 minutes, and then back to dire straits.
Exactly.
Well, I've been given that time limit before, so 3 minutes isn't...
Wait a sec. Right into the microphone there,
Yes.
Bryan. Hold it. Lift it up, and I should have adjusted that for you. No, hoist it. Yes. There you... Now you got it. Now let me see. Is that it?
Better?
Oh, yeah.
Keep talking.
Okay.
Former Marine, Bryan.
Yes, sir.
That scares me a little bit.
Oh, yeah. He could kill you with just a look.
I might have just done paperwork.
I guess we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
This could all be BS if we didn't look into it.
Bryan Seely is the CEO of Seely Security. And you have made headlines recently. Again, you gave me your dossier here of all the hacks that you've recently exposed. One of them, the one that intrigues me the most, is this thing where you almost got jailed for.
That still doesn't narrow them down.
Really? How many of your hacks have you almost gotten jailed for? Even though you're the ethical hacker, you're the Mother Teresa, for God's sake.
Yeah, I'm old and Southeast Asian, but yes, 2 or 3 of them kind of led down that road of federal agents, warning, stern finger wagging, sort of that whole attitude.
Okay, tell me the first time that you came on a federal agent's radar.
It was in March, and the exploit in question was Google Maps.
Okay, so March of 2014. March of this year. You haven't been doing this very long, but we'll get into that. Okay, so March of this year, you're messing around on Google Maps. And what are you trying to get at? What are you trying to expose?
From about January to February timeframe, I was trying to report that people can manipulate Google Maps to put listings up that don't really exist and steal business from hardworking actual businesses, and then do other things. Whether you can prank someone, whether you're getting access to their home fraudulently, bait and switch. There's all sorts of different types of scams and fraud you can run.
So what you're saying is I could put a Taco Bell across the street on someone else's Google map.
Correct. I changed the Library of Congress to the the Zoolander School of Kids Who Can't Read Good.
And you were successful in doing it.
I did it live on Como's interview.
Oh, you did. You did.
And then Edward Snowden's secret hideout was on the White House lawn for a good week.
So how would you come across? So that was anyone that accessed Google Maps at that point while that was live.
Yes.
Would see that Edward Snowden's secret hideout would pop up.
Right. If you looked up Edward Snowden, like, where is he hiding? Where's Carmen Sandiego and Edward Snowden? And it would show up White House lawn, bam, front and center, right in front of the fountain.
Amazing.
Did you have some inkling that there was this vulnerability, or were you just playing around and stumbled on it?
I didn't know how bad the vulnerabilities had got. I hadn't been even really using Google Maps in that aspect for a couple of years. I was formally using it in a way that was actually profiting off of it. So kind of come full circle and realize, wait a minute, this is actually having consequences with people. I saw people who were actually being victimized in other industries. The industry I was working in didn't really have those same problems. So we didn't have locksmiths robbing people or hurting or do bait and switch. It was a whole different industry. But that's where I learned the craft over a few years and then started developing a conscience, I guess you could say.
Doesn't the U.S. direct its drones using Google Maps? I mean,
I hope not.
you hope not.
Right.
All right. So then why would the feds care that you're having this fun at Google Maps' expense?
That article, that story came out on like a Tuesday. The very next day, I may or may not have figured out a way to apply this in a more scary sense and intercepted calls to the Secret Service in D.C. and the FBI in San Francisco.
Wait a second. That's quite a leap. Now, how do you go from putting a Taco Bell somewhere where it doesn't belong on Google Maps to intercepting calls to the Secret Service?
ADD and bad decisions.
Yeah.
I don't know what...
No, I mean, technically, how do you make that leap?
Analytically, you look at it for, I want to build this for profit, right? So you're going to go for a service business, something that's going to generate you income. Mm-hmm. What if we take the profit out of the equation?
Okay.
Now we're going for scary, sexy, something like media is going to latch onto.
Sure.
And I'm like, why couldn't I just, take over a congressman's office? And so that's when I started. I was actually watching The Rock with Nicolas Cage.
Uh-huh.
And so that's what the FBI in San Francisco was. And then I was like, well, let's just take it up a notch, because why the hell not? And
But you're using the same vulnerability, the
Yeah.
Google Maps vulnerability to intercept calls.
Google Maps plus a very, very simple phone system, like Google Voice.
Uh-huh.
It's a forwarding number. So the forwarding number is now taking inbound calls
Yeah.
and sending them wherever I choose. Instead of sending them to me, I sent them right to the switchboard at the Secret Service. So I didn't touch their systems. I didn't hack them, didn't touch anything, I didn't break any law until someone called and it was recording both sides of the conversation.
Gosh, I'm not sure I understand that, but maybe that's why I'm not the hacker in this room. So how did the feds even know this was happening?
I called the FBI the next morning.
Oh, so you turned yourself in.
They hung up on me.
Oh, okay.
Well, you tried to turn yourself.
Right.
I distinctly heard someone mumbling tinfoil hat and then click.
Oh, okay.
And then I went to the...
What did you tell them on the phone?
I intercepted some calls to the FBI and I would like to report it and file a whatever you have to file. Hello?
Did you listen to the calls? Were they interesting, or was it like, we're going to have dim sum for lunch today?
4 or 5 of them came in by that point, and I had listened to them, and 2 of them were active duty investigations, people calling the main numbers to get a hold of somebody to talk about a case.
Huh,
The other one was some crazy lady.
Tinfoil hat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
My God.
Yeah.
She was probably one step ahead of you. She probably intercepted.
I can see why they're like, they've got a tinfoil hat screening button.
Oh, I bet they do. Okay, so they hung up on you.
Yep.
And then, all right, and then what happened next?
I drove my happy ass down to the Secret Service office and told them.
Where? Here
in Seattle. There's a federal building downtown. Mm-hmm. They didn't believe me right away either until I told the guy in the lobby. I was like, look, okay, I know you don't believe me. Call the Secret Service in D.C. He picks up his phone. And luckily, he uses Google Maps, pushes dial, phone up to ear. He knew the guy on the other end in D.C. After he hung up the phone, I pushed play. And it played both sides.
Wow.
Holy crap.
And he said, oh, shit. And they put me up against the wall. They read me my rights.
What?
They patted me down.
You went there voluntarily.
Yeah.
People have been jailed for very, very small misunderstandings, far smaller than this. And it was, to their credit, at least they followed the procedure. I didn't get hurt. There wasn't any sort of like kidney punches or, random stabbings as, dark hallways. It wasn't anything like that, but they followed the procedure and protocol of bringing someone into the guest suites.
But they could have said, sir, will you come with us? And you would have said yes, right? Without cuffs.
They did not say I was under arrest.
Right, okay.
They were like, you are not under arrest. We're just going to search the shit out of you. And this man with the rubber gloves, he is very gentle.
Yeah.
And he was, to his credit.
Oh, that's sweet. Michael, you must know him too.
I do,
then.
yeah. No glove used, but yes.
So then we went to the little guest suites, a.k.a. the interrogation rooms. They're bright and cheery and tiny and just handcuff bar. And you've got this sort of like tiny-ass chair. And I had to explain what happened. Walk them through the whole process. So they're like,
Oh, no. It's probably the feds calling now.
Yeah, of course, they're shutting this thing down.
Yeah.
They can just wait till January 1st. That'd be awesome.
That's true. Oh, we're not going to make it that far.
I would like to make it past there because I very much like not being in jail.
Yeah.
Like a lot, thoroughly enjoy not being in jail.
Well, did you at that point think, well, I was stupid to even bring this to their attention?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like all the time. But it was kind of too late at that point.
Yeah, of course.
It was like, I changed my mind.
Right.
I would like to leave, please. Right now. No?
Don't you insist on having an attorney present immediately? Did they read you your rights? Do you?
They give you a form with the rights on it saying, you understand these, you sign it, but I wasn't under arrest. I wasn't being detained.
Yeah.
But
I know what you say then. I've watched enough television. Well, then I'm going to walk my ass straight out of here.
Oh, yeah, they love that, by the way. Just totally do that all the time. So the part of the whole coming forward was to show, A, you didn't catch me. I was proving a point. And turns out they had the article from the previous day with screenshots of Edward Snowden's, the screenshot of that on Google Maps, printed out already before I even walked in.
Yeah.
Because anytime you mention the word Snowden, it makes a whole bunch of lights somewhere blink, and people are like, what? No.
Right.
Snowden? Huh?
So they found out that you were, in fact, benevolent, and they, I assume, let you go because you're here today. Did they...
4 hours later.
Yeah, and did they give you some marching orders? Don't ever dare do that again, or...
I think it was pretty much those exact words.
Okay, and then, so I guess... We don't know. Did they fix it? What did they do to try to resolve the issue?
The Secret Service ended up calling Google, some guy at Google, and they got it turned off. So, to their credit, it's problem solved.
Okay.
And it was in like Business Week and a few other places, and just sort of died quietly.
Huh. Just like could have happened to you.
It would not have been quietly. It would have been like, what's like the term? Bag River, kicking, screaming.
I think they have. Okay, so I'm just fascinated by this whole topic because it ranges everywhere from when I go to Starbucks and I log into the public Wi-Fi and they warn me, do not reveal any private information. This is a public Wi-Fi. And I'm like, who has that kind of talent or that time? Right. Besides that, I don't have anything to hide. God, don't get to those pictures. But I'm curious. Someone savvy like yourself, can you sit in a Starbucks and peruse what's going on all the tablets around you?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a no-brainer?
Pretty much.
What? How? And I want to do it just for fun. It sounds like a fun game. Mm-hmm. And then I'll go to the feds afterwards and say I was at Starbucks.
Yeah, and they'll be like, "Get out of here again."
But you just said that on tape.
Yeah.
So now you can't.
No, I can't. Ruined my.
Sorry. No,
times.
the way it kind of works is there are very clear lines in the sand about what the computer laws and hacking and everything else and security acts are. If you are not allowed to have access to something and you're not, and you have to circumvent a control, a block or a wall,
right,
and you go and breach the password or figure out a way to crack it, you've broken the law.
Okay.
You've accessed something illegally. If you sit in Starbucks and you're drinking your pumpkin soy chai mocha latte,
exactly.
Oh God, that's good.
Yeah, and
that is good. Yeah. Makes me forget about hacking altogether.
You've totally forgotten how many calories are in it, and you're sitting there and you want to just go look at the whatever porn that sad old man sitting over there is looking at. Mm-hmm. You can. There are pretty easy ways to do it. You can actually mitigate that by having a little personal firewall.
Can you give me like a 15-second course on how that would be done? Do you need a special device? And would you actually see like a mirror image of what's on their screen? Is that what you end up doing?
That different sort of scenarios, different hardware, what you're trying to get at. You can actually capture data that's being transmitted over the air because of the way that networks are kind of architected. People don't realize that a lot of the times data flows in a lot of different directions, but you're not just going to be able to go easily remote control someone's machine.
No, but you have the ability to do that. I mean, legal
I think
or not.
Legal or not, there are definitely
Yeah.
ways to do that. There are known exploits for XP, Professional, Vista, 7, 8. And there are ones that haven't been patched. There are ones that have. But if you don't have the maximum security turned on, and you haven't gone through all the little ticks and checks, which are really hard to know because it changes every single time, and then they make the window go over here, and then they change the verbiage, you're going to be vulnerable.
Yeah. Well, but again, back to the original question. If the three of us wandered down to Starbucks today and sat there with what you have with you today, which is what? You have a laptop or something? What do you do?
That's all you really need most of the time.
Okay. And could you get anywhere? Or would you say, nah, that's going to take me a little longer. I just want to know how low the barrier is.
If the Wi-Fi is set up as fairly typical, you can probably safely say an hour before you're capturing passwords, credit card information. If someone is actually fairly savvy and methodical in the approach, it's not just a push magic button.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I want push magic button, but it's not that. It's not that. Okay, so let's ramp it up to the other end of the spectrum. Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Did you read that book?
No, I did not.
Or watch the movie?
I saw the trailer.
Okay.
Okay, so
The protagonist in that, Lisbeth Salander, I believe is her name. I think it's at the end of the first book or the second book. At some point, this very rich person that she hates, she manages to infiltrate his account, goes to his bank, poses and transfers the money. I don't remember the details of it, but manages to make herself a multi-billionaire.
Okay.
How possible? You handed us this file of documents of things that you were just able to acquire, I'm guessing somewhat leisurely. People's social security numbers, kids' names and addresses.
What time they get picked up from the bus stop.
Oh,
what time
that's so
they-
tax
creepy.
records.
Some of the records even have like the kid's picture, his social, birth date, name, who he resides with, on what days, the bus route to and from school, time he gets dropped off.
Spooky.
The homeroom teacher. I think the only thing they're leaving out from there is, does he like panel vans and is he afraid of clowns? It's like sheerly terrifying on like how much information they needlessly collect, and most of the time you don't need to give a company your social. You can actually say, you know what? No, because I don't trust you, because this is the way it always seems to happen.
Okay, I want to get to that too, because that's an argument Michael and I have quite frequently. But you also have here all these cities in Louisiana and their tax accounts where they hold their revenue, the tax revenue that they collect from their hardworking citizens. And you were able to get into these accounts and find out who the authorized users are and figure out how to, I guess, if you were malevolent, you would try to figure out how to assign yourself as an authorized
transfer.
Yeah, and transfer. So
It was
back to
awfully
the
tempting.
Lisbeth Salander question. Could you do that? Could you, with the knowledge you have in one of these accounts, transfer that money over to your account?
It's a simple form that says, if you need to add someone to your
But
to your
that's going to
management
set off
account.
red flags if all of a sudden a form comes through with Bryan Seely. We don't know Bryan Seely.
Oh
of
yeah,
course we're not going
faking
to.
an ID is super impossible.
It is super impossible. I've never been able to do that.
Right. Like, hey, Paco.
Yeah.
Here's $10. Go buy this cell phone. Get a new cell phone. Go get little pieces of an identity. I mean, there's 10 million socials that we've found over a month period. I think identity theft is kind of possible at this point.
Okay.
So then you add yourself to the account. You add it slowly. You don't withdraw all the money. You leave them with some like coded number, like in binaries, like ha 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 or whatever.
Yeah.
But by then you've already developed a space program and you're already on your way to another planet that has a very firm non-extradition treaty.
Yeah.
All of them, essentially.
Right. Oh, that is tempting. Wow, that's so tempting. I'll have you know how this can catch up to you, and this hits close to home, because in between the last time we were on and today, the system that we were using to host our podcast, which just happened to be on a server that was owned and operated by my old employer, the mountain, we had been uploading all our shows on that server from the day that I got fired. Yeah. And we were uploading the shows because they closed down all my mail accounts. The obvious stuff that I had access to, they shut down right away. But that one was sort of like no one knew who had access to that. So I always said, well, let's just post our shows on there and we'll give them some arbitrary name. So instead of like Marty Riemer Show, October 17th, we would just call it 111-1017. And I know that no one has the time at that place to sit there and sift through the hard drive and go,
what's that
we should listen to this and see, and is it useful, and should we delete it?
Yeah.
But then for some reason in the last 2 weeks, that whole server, poof, went away. It completely disappeared. And
I don't recommend that.
Yeah, and that was somewhat scary. So I was the unethical hacker there for a while.
Yes,
I felt like you and I, Brian, we were eye to eye as I was. Then we got shut down. A very nice gentleman who runs a media company said, "Hey, I'll host your podcast on my server." Like, it's sold.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So we have a new home. You don't even notice. You, the user, don't even notice the difference where the bits come from. But
no, we feel better ethically about what we're doing now, though.
Somewhat,
sure,
yeah.
Marty. Yeah, not really. I'm curious about this. Marty and I do fight about this a lot. You hear about these Heartbleed, Target. We have a security breach. Oops. 9 million people accidentally we messed with their credit card. You hear this all the time.
Oh, yeah.
So Marty doesn't believe that's really problematic. He's like, so what? They're not going to find me, and I'll get my money back if somebody goes crazy.
yes.
So what is the problem when we see the headlines, 9 million credit cards breached?
I think, here, just let me pose briefly my side of the story, and that is I feel like who's really at risk there are the big financial institutions. That's why it behooves them to freak us out so that we're totally like...
The last time I checked, those corporations are for profit. So they're actually probably still doing okay.
Yeah.
When the Target credit card breach came out, I think it was 40 million credit cards. They spent like $250 million reissuing credit cards. I have a feeling they're still in the black.
Yeah.
I think they're doing okay.
Yeah, I know, but still, they would prefer not to get burned like that.
Well, yeah, of course.
And we're completely protected.
But maybe you should build your systems a little bit better. Or
Sure, that's fine. That's their thing. I'm always arguing with Michael, what is it to me? Like, I don't care.
If you want to go lunatic fringe and only use cash, that's your prerogative. It's going to be a little difficult to buy stuff. But if you're going to have a choice between a debit and a credit card, always use a credit card. Always.
Because it's their money, not yours.
Because technically it's invisible. It's like a fictitious construct. It's credit. Who gives a shit? They can replace it in a week or two, but if that's your rent money, and all of a sudden your bank account's drained, they've got to file a report, and
you can get it back eventually, but it's terrible. So he's making my case.
Sadly, yes. Yeah. So the worst case scenario isn't that bad when we hear about these breaches at Target, right? Because nobody individually...
If it's a credit card number and like I've got your name and your little 3-digit code, it's bad. I mean, it's...
How is it bad?
Well, the only real victims are, inconvenienced people who have the cards.
Yeah.
Right, because you have to issue a new card.
Okay,
and then all the different things you've got, like let's say you've got reoccurring charges and all this. It's an inconvenience. It's a hassle. It's a first world problem.
Okay, so what can I do? Like, give me the worst case scenario. I always think it's so hard for somebody who's evil to find the one credit card they're going to take advantage of, or the 9 million of them.
They don't. They sell them in batches, and then
to who?
People on the underground. Like one guy will get 10 million, and he'll sell them for X amount of dollars.
Okay.
And then another guy will try, maybe he has more money, so he can then parse them out into smaller
And what are
batches.
they doing now? I've got a batch of 1,000 credit cards.
You can sign up for online services. You can sign up for drop shipping, so something gets shipped to you, but it's not really your address, and then you go snag the package.
Okay, so in that scenario, I buy a bunch of DVD players or whatever, but the person whose card it is
How sad.
is not.
That was really your choice? I'm just going to buy a bunch of outdated technology.
Well, at least it didn't say CD or like VHS.
Yeah.
So that would be a good idea because all my tapes are VHS.
Don't go crazy and buy Blu-ray.
no, they're on VHS. Debbie Does Dallas. I have the first edition.
Oh yeah, of course.
So for me, the person who's somebody's using my card, I call my credit card company. They're like, yeah, that's not you. You're good. I mean,
Yeah.
is that true? So the
Yeah,
individual is never
that's what they're there for. Like
at risk.
I didn't teleport to Missouri and buy a tractor. Thank you. Please refund my money.
So anytime we see these headlines about these massive breaches, there's nothing for us to worry about. Is that true?
Other than the inconvenience that we might have to get a new credit card and replace all our numbers.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, except for that, isn't there a way for somebody like yourself to,
Your
if
safety is
you're-
in numbers.
Right-
They're
right.
not going to just... They don't drill down past, hey, I've got credit card numbers. What can I do with this to then get more? You are not the target. It's just an incidental. Like,
Yeah.
they're just getting all of it, like a large fish. So you're like a whole bunch of fish in the sea,
Okay,
and you get caught by a
good.
net. They're not going, fuck this little fish.
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
right there,
Yes.
I'm getting you, you little bastard.
Right.
You cut me off in traffic.
So then
Like,
the
they're
fear
not
would
going
be
after
that the
one
whole
person.
system, somehow a group of hackers eventually would crush the Bank of America all at once if they were smart enough to.
Well, with terrible customer service, I think they do a pretty good job on their own.
But I mean, is that the fear that somebody really bright would make a move where they moved $100 billion and hurt?
Where you
giant company?
jeopardize the entire financial
That-
system
is
with a
that-
hack.
That stuff, I'm pretty sure it can be reversed. I'm not a financial advisor.
Oh, okay.
I'm not, I don't play in the stock
Yeah.
markets.
Well, I'm curious even about like the city of Mandeville, Louisiana, that, by the way, has $16 million in their
Wow.
sales tax account. They're rocking it there at Mandeville. If they should be the victim of a hack, are they also protected in the same way?
I know like personal accounts get FDIC insured up to what, $250,000. I'm sure that there's arrangements with this asset management company to protect. So I have a feeling that if there was something like, oh shit, we lost half of all the money.
Yeah.
Did you take it? No, I didn't take it. Did
Yeah.
you? Like they'll figure something out to make sure that the taxpayers
make it right.
aren't just left holding the bag going, whoops, sorry about that. Better luck next time.
So one of the most recent headlines that you're a part of is this revealing this asset management company and the breaches in their security, and that includes these municipalities in Louisiana.
Right.
And when you approach them, this is, I'm sure, different than approaching the Secret Service.
Almost no. Like
Really? No? They threw you up against the wall, too?
no, they pretended that I wasn't even talking. It was I called, and I didn't just call the main number and said, "Hello, I have information." Like, it was like I spoke in English,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they answered in English.
Right.
So she understood me, and I said, "Your website has personal client information on it that is not supposed to be there, and I need to report it. I'm a security researcher."
Okay.
They passed along the message, and then nothing happened.
Right.
So I found the direct line numbers for all the executives, and I called them and left messages saying, I found a problem, trying to tell you about the problem. I'm not asking for money, and I'm not selling anything. I'm just trying to be responsible. But their thought is, he's selling something.
Yes, of course. I would think
They're trained
it's a ransom
to,
note.
it's like a phishing. Yeah, they get it all the time. And a friend of mine, a guy named David, runs a company down in Silicon Valley. He says they get the same thing. They get like a freebie, kind of like a Coke dealer.
Yeah.
And then the second one costs $100,000, and that's the big.
Well, how do you make money off of this?
I mean,
is it
other than the cocaine?
Yeah.
Or, I mean,
no. I know that how you make money off that. But if you're not asking for some sort of compensation for revealing their flaws, how do you do it? Is it in hopes that with enough headlines you will get hired to specifically find a flaw?
This isn't uncommon. It's just not widely publicized because there are less ethical hackers than people probably think. But people find stuff all the time, and they have what's called a bug bounty. So if you find something at Google Chrome, for example, they'll pay you like $10,000.
Wow.
But it's very rare because they
Good
have a lot
Lord.
of people building on that software. So if you find it, it's like, hey, jackpot. But you can't make a living off of it just by searching on the internet for random crap.
Do you know how many Culture Club songs I have to play to get $10,000?
I do.
It's exactly 48.
I'll pay you not to play them.
Yeah, exactly. So you didn't want a bounty on your fabulous Google Maps error? I mean, 'cause
They said it wasn't bounty eligible.
What the hell?
that's huge what you found.
It wasn't the jumbo size bounty
Oh
picker
my
upper.
God.
No, they literally said, well, this is a spam issue and an abuse issue. It's not a technical error.
Wow.
And I beg to differ. And
Yeah, no kidding.
Oops. And then I either did the smartest or dumbest thing I've ever done. and wiretap the federal government.
Right.
Whoops. So that's I'm good at taking something and going poke, poke, poke.
Yeah.
Poke, 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 and making sure I can push it as far as it needs to go to get the required amount of attention.
All right, so we've all seen the TV shows, the films where the guy needs to hack into some system and needs to get a password, and so then they use some password. I guess you could use a screwdriver. I was going to use something a little more sophisticated, the password hacking program that just, what does it do? Just cycle through every combination of letters, symbols, and numbers. So does that work?
All the time. People are morons.
What does that have to do with people being morons?
I used to work for an entity that had 300 to 500 people.
Okay.
And the password was secret.
That's the password?
For everything.
Yeah. But even something that's so obvious.
That's a good one.
That's the number 2 guess.
It would take me, really?
Number 2 guess on like a computer algorithm, like a list. And you get word lists and you apply them to what's called a cracking program.
No way.
Password.
I'm telling
secret,
you.
Password.
God.
Sit down.
Sex.
Sit down. I will give you what's in my Bank of America account. I've been unemployed for a couple of years. If you could hack my password, can you hack my password on my Bank of America account?
Any password is crackable, but it takes time. And it's not like you think it is. You don't just sit on the website and go, nope.
All right.
You have to have.
That's
you have to be
what
able
I
to-
envision.
yeah. You have to be
With
able
those
to
sounds
pull-
exactly.
Oh yeah, no. I should put that on your little fart box.
Oh, I've got it. I'm going to have to bump a fart off to make room for it.
It's like the Beavis button.
Hello.
Hello? Oh, yeah, we're back. Get your headphones back on, Michael.
Hi. We never left.
Someone's being a wise ass saying, I told him we're coming back, and she said, oh, good, I'll keep trying. You can't afford to lose a listener. Oh, that stinks.
All one of them.
Where were we? We were just saying something. Oh, yes, about the place in the airport with the lowest level of security. So a Chicago couple have just this week, been charged with stealing $45,000 in luggage from SeaTac International Airport baggage carousels. Port of Seattle investigators contend Kervin Reed and Sylvia Brooks stole at least 18 bags. You can haul 18 bags and get $45,000?
Yeah,
I think that's how people estimate their belongings when they're turned in for
It was
for
probably
claims.
6 college textbooks.
Right.
Yeah.
I had a diamond bracelet in there. No, you didn't.
I have a dirty pair of boxers and a foul toothbrush.
But that's it? Only 18 items?
18 bags.
Oh.
The scheme, as described by detectives, was entirely straightforward. Yeah, I think we can imagine how it works. Reed or Brooks simply grabbed travelers' bags at the baggage claim and walked to a waiting car and left.
Yeah.
Why that doesn't happen all the time is crazy time to me.
It's like a sushi restaurant that literally delivers stuff for you to take
Yes, it comes
on a little thing. And you're like, I would like this one. This is a Coach. Anybody? No, mine.
So true.
And then you just walk outside and there's the cars
Yes.
that you just get into.
Yeah, well, in the area that for me seems like there's really nobody is oversized luggage is sitting there forever, and maybe there's good stuff in the oversized luggage area.
Yes,
there's only
because
6 or
it always
7.
takes them an additional half an hour to realize, why isn't my bag? Oh, I have to look
Exactly,
elsewhere.
so it's
By that
gone.
time, Michael and his...
I've taken it. Yep.
All the
I've
hockey
taken it.
skis you've taken, the hockey sticks, the
Guitars
skis, and
giant
everything that's big.
crates of wine.
Right.
Yeah,
Sticks.
it's true.
Michael's got 6,000 hockey sticks,
I do.
each valued at $2,000 by the person who had them stolen. That's the only way you can steal 18 bags and consider them to be valued at $45,000 is that those 18 people each put in a claim for $3,000
Right.
and said, you know,
Right.
oh yeah, my wife's.
Oh yeah, my Ferrari totally. I left it in there. I totally forgot. Please pen that in there. Just
You can't carry on a Ferrari, so
That's
what else
F.
was I going to do? I was going to have to check it.
It's F as in Ferrari.
You know, if this happens a couple more times, they're going to have to post someone at the gate
Yep.
at every baggage claim to check your tag, and it's going to be
Totally.
annoying as hell, which is, I think that is the moral of our story here, is that because of hackers, life is so much more annoying.
Brian.
Brian,
You're welcome.
would you please speak for your ilk? No, do speak for your ilk. Who are your Who are your heroes in the hacking field? Like, who are the real guys that everyone aspire to be?
Arguably the most famous hacker of all time is Kevin Mitnick.
Kevin Mitnick. How would we know him?
3 books, a movie, some documentaries, news. He was at the time on the FBI's most wanted list for some stuff that, may or may not have happened or whatever.
Ethical guy, though,
he runs the leading security researching company. He is completely above board, the authority, bar none.
Yeah.
And
do the dark hackers consider him a bit of a sellout as a result of that? Or,
what the hell does it matter what they think?
Yeah,
really?
well, I mean, that's true, but is there...
They have a very short lifespan. Most of the time, they're brilliant kids, but they've got no outlet. Like, I guarantee you, if you took all these kids who are attacking stuff, you'll go find them eating Hot Pockets, sitting in their room, mom's yelling at them.
Yeah.
Or like a single parent who can't really supervise. And these kids are brilliantly talented, but they've got no outlet.
Yeah.
They've got nothing to do.
Yeah.
So you can only watch so much porn, and then you got to break something.
So this brings up a lesson that my dad always tried to impress on me when I would come home and brag about, I got backstage passes to some concert that I had no business being backstage at because I'd con my way in. And he'd say, if you use that energy for good rather than for your stupid hijinks, the world would be a better place. That is also the case here, certainly. Why don't, I guess in the case of Kevin Mitnick?
Kevin he's got a very large security practice. He's got clients all over the world. I think I last talked to him a couple of days ago, and he was in Europe. And he's the man. Like, the guy is, he knows what he's talking about. He's got a really solid Twitter following. I think 130,000 people.
Did he do any jail time?
5 years.
5 years?
Wow.
A year in solitary.
Oy. Which is I'm sure how he likes that. I'd be the same way. I just want to be alone.
He's arguably, he's old, so like your guys' age, but he's.
Zing!
I think he's a really.
He's
great
hacked
guy.
into our record, so he knows exactly how old we are.
Can't say a word.
Got the nice salt and pepper. It's distinguished.
Ryan.
Yeah.
So the thing is, if I had any of these skills, which I obviously don't, I would try and find a way to make $1 million and get the hell out and go to Barbados or wherever. Are there a ton of people who are trying to do that, where you make a one-strike deal?
Yeah, all the time.
It's happening.
It happens all the time. Companies get calls like, I have a database that I stole from your company of all your employees' social security numbers.
Okay.
Pay $1 million.
Oh, I see. So it's
or
brands.
I'll release it to everyone. And it happens literally every day.
But that seems like the easiest way to get busted.
Yeah.
Because now there's actually going to be a legitimate transfer of funds that you can track and you get caught. I would think what Michael's asking is more, what we're talking about here is go to the account for the city of Mandeville, Louisiana.
It's not easy to make off with $1 million.
It's not? Yeah.
It's probably very difficult to actually get away with it scot-free, like the movie endings, and you're with the hot chick on the beach.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I want more of that.
Right. I haven't found it. Sorry.
No.
Why is that difficult? You have to have skills, and
there are little regulations, and it is difficult, and it takes a lot more orchestration and planning. And the ones that probably get away with it, don't tell anybody.
Right. You never hear about them.
The good smugglers,
of course,
aren't famous.
Yeah.
So you've ruined yourself as a hacker by coming on to this show with our one listener. Once she catches wind of what's going on,
thanks, Mom.
It's going to be everywhere.
Exactly.
The initial story really kind of cemented the fact that I knew everyone was getting recorded. Like, the Snowden thing comes out and everyone's like, oh my God, they're recording. If you're on the computer or the internet or the cell phone, chances are it's being recorded. And I've thought that since like 1980s. So it wasn't a real big shock for me, but now I know that they're creating new lists like Bryan Seely, right at the top.
What are the chances, we're getting close to the end here, but what are the chances that, say, Michael runs for public office at some point in the future and someone is able to glean the list of horrifyingly obscene websites that he's visited late at night,
all the time,
trying to entertain himself and not finding the high that he once did? and always going further and further. Sorry,
They'd have to get access to your personal machine. They'd have to have a lot of time. Like, there's not just...
You're saying it's all getting recorded somewhere.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
depending on who you're talking about. Like, if the NSA is recording everything, you're safe in a sea of other people looking at the same
310 million black specks and 3 red ones.
That's just this
Michael,
country
back
alone.
to it. In
Yeah,
fact,
nice.
why do
Way
you
to
even
go.
waste time with us?
Good job.
And get back to the...
Well, so this whole thing about the NSA is listening, again, is it true? Just who cares?
I feel
It's
bad,
too much
man. They just have to
information?
look at a lot of cat pictures and
Yes.
stupid jokes.
But
and
is
puns.
I mean, you're in this business trying to sell services to someone. It sounds to me like if I was the head of a company, I'd be like, everything's fixable. Who cares? Why do I need a security level if everything can be...
Social security numbers aren't reissuable.
Yeah.
And if you have someone's social,
Yeah.
game over.
Okay, so that's an extremely...
That's a bad
something
one.
you want to protect.
10 million socials is worse than 1 billion credit card numbers.
And even then, what can someone do with my social security number?
Steal your identity.
Steal
up
my
bank.
identity. Who wants it? I barely even want it.
Well,
I
just
feel
gonna
like my
mess you up.
identity is
We've
kind of
talked
annoying.
about this,
Free
Marty.
money is free money. $1,000, $10,000, put it on a large enough scale, figure out how to automate it, and you've got a lot of money. Free things. You've got stuff you didn't earn. And that's how a lot of people like to make their living.
But Marty, your point is it doesn't hurt me any if somebody takes, for example, your social security number. And all I've been saying is it's just a pain in the ass
Yes,
for you to reclaim your identity again.
Yeah.
For the 900 credit cards that are opened in your name, right?
If every American's social security number got hacked,
Yeah.
stolen, fully understood that it's breached, they would have to reevaluate the social security system forever because it's...
Well,
done.
isn't
It's over.
every social security number is breached because you can start with 111111111.
But it has to match a name.
And an
You,
address.
you can't... That's probably a list that is so massive it would take a long time to generate and try all the possibilities. It's not a feasible thing.
Yeah. All right. So in some ways, I feel reassured.
Yeah, me too.
That
Brian's on the case.
it's someone else's problem. It really is. Every time I still say, and God bless the credit card system, because every time someone steals one of my credit card numbers, and it seems to happen every 2 years, they immediately catch them because they tend to buy athletic shoes. And apparently the bank thinks that's the biggest red flag when someone of my type buys athletic shoes. They're going, okay, we know that's a fraudulent charge.
Or pants for you, Marty. If somebody wore pants, they'd be like, oh, red flag.
It's like he bought vegetables from an organic... Nope, red flag, sorry, nope.
No, oddly enough, the only time that anyone has managed to steal my credit card number and get away with it was that guy who walked into a Wells Fargo down in California and took out a $2,000 cash advance. And I'm like going, okay, that you would think would be like they would work in the highest level of security if someone's actually asking for cash rather than buying a product.
Yeah.
And for
It's like,
some
let me
reason,
see
that
your
guy got
ID.
away with it.
Like, I left it in the car.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
There you go.
Here, how much did you need again? One,
Yeah.
two, three,
Yeah,
four.
that's nuts.
They
Is
suspected
2,000 enough? Do you need?
Yes,
do you need more?
2,000.
You've got like 30,000 in your account.
Right. How much? Yeah. Take more.
Invention
Yeah.
of lying is
Most of the
great.
time they flag it before the purchase is made, and I'm always like, good on you, because I never get flagged when I make a purchase. No one ever stops and says,
I have a few times traveling. I showed up in New York after
Okay.
being in Amsterdam. I flew
Yeah.
in. I pulled to get cash out to pay a taxi.
yeah,
Flagged.
flag.
Had to call.
Okay, and see, that seems very obvious that, especially when you're quickly in different locations, they'd go, okay, something suspicious
Yeah, it was
here.
like the third
Even
hop.
then, I don't get flagged. Unless I buy athletic shoes. And so people, I just want you to know I'd be far more athletic if only I were able to buy the shoes.
Yep.
You can't
Makes
buy
sense.
the goddamn
Makes
shoes.
sense.
Bryan Seely, you are fascinating. I'm sure we'll read about you more in the headlines. He has a book deal, a book coming out, which I'm most definitely... When will that book be out?
Manuscript done April, out by June, be in nationwide bookstores by the summer.
2015. The story of Bryan Seely, the ethical hacker. His company is called Seely Security. They know about you. You should get to know about them. Bryan, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's been an honor to meet you guys and be on the show.
It's a treat having you on. We'll be back next Friday. Yeah, the podcast is not dead, although we are still obviously having some technical issues, and for that I apologize to to our one listener.
Radio's rock solid, by the way. Stream is
Radio
solid.
doesn't have these issues. No.
No, they will when you get on.
Thanks to Erin for switching the cameras and doing it so capably. You don't even know she exists. Have a wonderful week. We'll see you next Friday morning at 9:30 a.m. here live from the Moldy Basement.
Wholly independent since 2009, this has been the Marty Riemer Show podcast. For more information about topics discussed, visit our website, martyriemer.com. That's Marty, RIEMER.com. Thank you for subscribing to the podcast. Tell your friends. They look nice. Oh, and to subscribe to our podcast, that too. The Marty Riemer Show is a production of Twisted Scholar Incorporated. Remember, in America, a corporation is a person too. I'm your studly announcer, Blair Schultz. See you next time. Word out.